right, how's everyone doing today? Fantastic, fantastic. My name is Eric Walton. I've been a vegan since 1990, I'm happy to say. And this parade is really, really fantastic. What an amazing group of people. And walking with the parade, just listening to the chants, I was so taken by one of the chants. It was one struggle, one fight, human freedom, animal rights. Can I get everyone to say that with me? One struggle, one fight, human freedom, animal rights. And I think that there is no one here today who understands this better than our next speaker. You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. He's an iconoclast, a firebrand, a gadfly, a burr in the saddle of the 1%. Absolutely. An adversary to anyone who thinks they have the right to exploit or oppress the 99%, and who understands in his heart that the 99% is not just us Homo sapiens. It is all of our non-human brothers and sisters with whom we share this planet. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a boisterous welcome to the one and only Mr. Mickey Z!
Hello, New York City! Well, all right, welcome to the 2013 Veggie Pride Parade, otherwise known as Veganville. As always, let me begin by saying peace and power to all species. Now, I'm always humbled when I get the opportunity to speak at Union Square, the historic place, because roughly 100 years ago, standing right here, was a woman by the name of Emma Goldman. Let's get a raised fist for Emma Goldman. So for this honor every year, I like to say thank you to Pamela Rice for giving me the opportunity to speak to you people, and thank you for putting in all the work to make this happen. Can we get a round of applause for Pamela Rice, please? Thank you. All right. As you know, it's a little chilly, it's a little early this year, but there's a nice symbolism to doing this at the beginning of spring, a time of fresh starts, new beginnings, new ideas, hopefully new tactics. And it feels like it's been a very long winter. You could argue that this winter began on October 28th when Hurricane Sandy hit. And as many of you know, there are plenty of folks still dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. Now, from a vegan perspective, it's important to recognize that the #1 source of human-created greenhouse gases happens to be the global animal byproducts industry. So there's the equation. We kill and eat factory-farmed animals to create greenhouse gases, which creates climate change, which creates events like Hurricane Sandy, which creates displaced humans, but relief workers are then feeding back factory-farmed animals to climate change victims. So obviously we have some work to be done here. There is a disconnect. Last year I kept repeating over and over, all of our grievances are connected. This year I'd like you to think about that all of our solutions are connected. So the first thing I want to know is how many vegans do we have in Union Square Park here today? Make some noise! So where do you get your protein? See, I've discovered this law of thermodynamics. As soon as I say the words, I'm a vegan, every non-vegan within listening range is suddenly ordained with a PhD in nutrition. They're standing there eating GMO chips and drinking a Diet Coke, and they start knowing all about my B12, my calcium, and my vitamin D, and so on. Anyway, how many vegetarians do we have here today? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. In the past 2 years, the number of vegans have doubled in America. So I am talking to the vegetarians here today when I say, this is your time. We want the number of vegans in Union Square Park to double by the end of today. Can that happen? How many animal rights activists here? Can I get a raised fist? How many occupiers here? Can I see some fingers? So let's do this again. Occupiers, meet the animal rights activists. Animal rights activists, meet the vegetarians. Vegetarians, meet the vegans. Vegans, meet the occupiers. Now let's get our shit together. All of our solutions are connected. It's time to work together, knock down the artificial barriers between us, and change the world. Now, if you're struggling with how to reach, if you're a vegetarian trying to decide how to make this choice, or you're a meat eater trying to make this choice, or if you're a very frustrated vegan trying to reach out to your non-vegan friends, there are many ways you could choose to reach them. You could go with an intellectual, fact-based argument. You could tell, for example, that in all of history, in all of recorded history, in all the wars and genocides, 619 million humans have been killed. That number, 619 million animals, are killed every 5 days for food in an industry that is killing the ecosystem. So you could tell them that, but maybe not. You could tell them about how all the trees are being clear-cut to make room for doomed cattle to graze and then be slaughtered and shipped up to the U.S., but maybe you don't have to tell them that. You could tell them that this lifestyle is killing the oceans through overfishing. You could talk about the Holocaust of human health conditions, preventable conditions from the animal-based diet, but you don't have to go in that direction. You can make really sharp connections between the global animal agribusiness and Wall Street, and so-called trade agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. But instead of speaking to people's minds, because they are all full of rationalizations, I'd rather speak directly to their hearts and say to them that domination over animals is a privilege, as much of a privilege as racism, sexism, patriarchy, or any of those. It's called speciesism. And to surrender a privilege is an act of revolution. When you are born with a privilege, in our case, human, to surrender that privilege is to embrace total liberation from all hierarchy, and it is to live the revolution 24 hours a day. What could be better than that? Because make no mistake about it, we humans, with the way we live, are waging war on the other 8.7 million known species on the planet. And the 1% of humans is waging war on everyone else. And I don't mean war just in the sounds of predator drones exploding in Pakistan. If you listen carefully, you can hear the sounds of war at a puppy mill or a fur farm, the animal scratching on the cage. That's the sound of war. The howls that reverberate down the hallways of a vivisection lab, that is the sound of war. The shrieks that emanate from a veal crate is the sound of war. The warning cry of a blue whale being pursued by harpoons is the sound of war. And make no mistake about it, the victims in this war don't need our rationalizations. They don't need our justifications. They don't need our mind games or our academic exercises. And they really don't need our fucking excuses. What they need is our participation right now. And to become involved, you might want to ask yourself the most simple, basic, fundamental question. Do I want my behavior to be motivated from a place of fear or motivated from a place of love? How many people in Union Square Park today want to embrace a place of love? Show me some love. What does love sound like? Now, if you choose love, the equation is very simple. If you choose love, how do you not choose animal rights? And if you choose animal rights, how do you not choose veganism? Which brings us to a deeper identification, because I stand here proudly as a vegan. I stand here proudly as an animal rights activist. Check that, an animal liberation activist. I stand here proudly as an occupier, but I stand here most proudly as a human being and an earthling. It's important to identify as an earthling, to dig deeper than just humanist issues and identify as an earthling. When you identify as an earthling, you can occupy the empathy to recognize that animals are not products, animals are not property, and animals are not commodities. Oh, I didn't know what that noise was. What it comes down to is if we participate in or allow animal abuse to happen, we are tapping into everything that is wrong with humanity. But if we embrace veganism and animal liberation, we are touching on what is best inside us. Because there's a lot wrong right now in our culture. We need a planet with far fewer reasons to grieve and far more reasons to celebrate. And the good news is there is a growing celebration, meeting down at the corner of empathy and anger, and what we're planning is nothing short of a global jailbreak. So join us to celebrate. Find joy in the struggle. You will find friends in the struggle. You will find a social life in the struggle. You will find love in the struggle. Most of all, you will find a mission to preserve the future. What happens in the future depends on the choices we make right now. So don't just talk about the future, preserve it with the choices you make every single day. Now, I'd like to see this mission begin right here, right now. I'd like to let the 1% know that if they won't defend the animals, we will, by any means necessary. And we won't stop until every cage is empty. So let that begin right here. And to kind of pump that up, I'm going to quote from Rage Against the Machine, who says it has to start somewhere, it has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now? Does anybody know the next line?
All hell!
All hell can't stop us now. Can I hear that? All hell can't stop us now. One more time. All hell can't stop us now. Peace and power to all species. Let's kick some ass in 2013.